Let me tell you something powerful. Write this. If you feel this in your bones, it'll flip your entire life upside down in the best way possible. You see, we live in a world today where people validation and external praise. People are so busy shouting, support me, love me. Notice me. They forget the one perch on knee, impress themselves. Here's the truth. Nobody cares. And that's liberating. Because if nobody cares, that means you write your story. Free to stop playing the victim. Free to become something they never saw coming. Let that sink in for a moment. No, my parents, not your boss, not your best friend, not the government, not your partner, not life. And the sooner you accept that, not the soon liberating awakening, the sooner your life begins to change. Think about it. How many times do we walk around with envis in our heads? I help them, so they should help me. I've been through so much. People should understand. I deserve better, a good person. But life doesn't operate on your feelings or what you think you deserve. Maybe life responds to your actions, your mind shift. Let's break this down with something real. Imagine someone working at a job for 5 years. They show up on time, do what's asked, keep their head down, and expects promotion because of that. But then the company promotes someone for 2 years. Someone who speaks up, takes initiative, builds connections, and makes their value impossible to a grobie. But is it unexpected? Not at all. You see, just doing the minimum or what's due recognition. The real world isn't high school where you get a gold star just for participating. In the real world, you earn your wort late chuper. Think about relationships. You might love someone with your whole heart. Give them your time, your energy, your soul. But that doesn't mean they bait them way. And while that hurts, it also teaches you something powerful. Love given is a gift, not a transaction. When we start seeing our efforts as attraction X, so I deserve why we selves up for pain. Because when why we feel cheated. But in reality, nobody signed that deal with you. Use your reciprocation. That's the raw truth. But here's the flip siding. If nobody owes you anything, that means you owe yourself everything. Set. You still waiting. You stop complaining. You stop hoping that someone to fix your life, give you a break, or hand you the opportunity. You're becoming the source of everything you're looking for. Let's talk about the biggest mental trap for him, the blame game. My parents didn't support me. But don't reach out unless I call first. My partner doesn't understand my struggles. Okay, but now what the truth is, you can be right. You might have been wronged, overlooked, hurt, but that doesn't move the needle. Sitting in that bitterness doesn't change is. Let me give you a real life daily example. Imagine someone wakes up feeling tired, unmotivated, overwhelmed. They've got bills to pay, kids to feed, maybe a job they love. They get on social media and see people traveling, glowing, living their best life. Instantly, resentment kicks in. Why them, not me? Guy, no one ever helped me like that. But they forget those people weren't handed that life. Or if they were, that's still arrow they control. You can sulk, or you can build. No one's coming to wake you up. No one's coming to save you. No one's going to force you to grow to your best. That's your job, 100%, every day. When you stop expecting people to give you things, their time, their understanding, their happens, you become unstoppable. You start relying on what you can control, your effort, your mindset, your consistency. And trust me, when your people do start to notice, opportunities do start to open. Maybe not because you waited for their thing. This key point, that nobody owes you anything, isn't about becoming cold or detached. It's about becoming responsible. Maybe as a mentality to a creator mindset, it's about recognizing that fairness is a fantasy. But ownership is freedom. So if your parents didn't support it, if your boss doesn't see your value, perfect. Prove it or build your own table. If your circle doesn't clap for you until they can't ignore you, it's not bitterness, it's power. Because the day you stop demanding from yourself, that's the day you become dangerous. That's the day you go from waiting to winning. So repeat it. On it. Nobody owes you thing. That best thing that ever happened to you. We've all been there. We've all felt like, that no matter how hard we try, things just keep falling apart. Maybe you've been overlooked, underestimated, or flat out rejected. Maybe life dealt family, broken family, a toxic environment, poverty, heartbreak, or failure after failure. And you've sat there staring at the ceiling, wondering. Wonderment that starts. That's how the victim mentality takes root. Maybe that victim mentality is one of the most Dan Curry through life. It's like a silent killer. You won't see it coming, but it will eat you from the inside out. It doesn't just take away your power. You never had any to begin with. Let's get real. There are two types of people in this world. Those who make excuses and those who make results. The vibers, they look at everything through the lens of what's been done to them instead of what they can do about it. They blame their parents, their upbringing, the weather, their zodiac sign. Anything that gets them off the hook from being responsible for their own life. Maybe it's your old story. Here's the truth as looting as you're bonding. Let me give you a daily life example. Imagine two people lose their job on the same day, same company, same situation. One of them sits on their at the company, angry at the economy, talking about how unfair the world is. The other gets up the next morning, updates their end son, learns and uses the setback spiel. One is a war victim. Warrior. Now, which one do you think is going to bounce by, is going to grow? See, the victim mindset is attractive at first. It feels good to blame others. It makes you feel temporarily safe, so you don't have to fix it. But it's a trap. It's a mental prison. And the longer you stay in it, the more powerless you become. When you complain, you shrink your potential. When you say, it was your old story, it's not fair, what you're really saying is, I don't want to take control. And the truth is, life isn't fair. But it doesn't have to be fair for you to win. You just need to take responsibility, blaming yourself. It's about owning your power. It's saying, this happened. I didn't choose it, but I choose how I respond to it. Some of the most successful people in the world came from most broken places. Oprah Winfrey was abused as a child. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on welfare, swayed and dropped out of college. They had every reason to quit, every reason to say, life's too hard, but they didn't, because they refused to let their pain as fuel. That's the difference. If you want to build a life you're proud of, you need to kill the victim in your mind. Stop saying, I can't. Start asking, and it always happens to me. And start saying, what is this teaching me? You see, when you shift out of victim mode, you want clarity. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You realize you were the hero all along, but you've been too busy playing the things with your own life. What are the things you keep blaming others for? What's your go-to excuse? What's your comfort story? The one that helps this, is that story serving you? Is it helping you become stronger, braver, smarter, more successful? If the answer is no, it's time to rewrite or set the truth that will either set you free or scare you. Your life is your responsibility. Even the hard parts, even the unfair parts. You don't get a flag, but you always get to choose what you do next. So the next time something goes wrong, take a breath, pause, and instead of asking, why me? What can I learn? How can I learn? I can make right now. That's not weakness. That's power. That's leadership. That's owning your future. You were not born a victim. You were born to be a warrior, to rise through the fire, to take your pain and turn it into purpose, to take your scars and turn them into stories, but none of that happens until you drop the victim mask and pick up responsibility like a sword. Because victim mentality kills dreams, leadership builds empires. This is one of the most misunderstood tribes. We live in a world that glorifies talent, natural ability, raw genius, effortless brilliance from a young age. Maybe that was your old story. We're taught to admire the get-your-olds. But here's the catch: talent opened the door, but only hard work keeps you in the room. You've seen it in school, at sports. There's always that one person who just seems to have it. Maybe they're smarter, faster, maybe they're more charismatic, more artistic, and yet they would give them a head start. But here's what they don't tell you. Mature ability comes discipline becomes wasted potential. Imagine two people at the gym. One is naturally athletic, strong build, good genes, barely breaks a sweat, awkward of shape, awkward unsure. But the second person shows up every day. They put in the reps, they learn proper form. Maybe they fail and try again. A month, a year. Guess who's stronger? The one who showed up, not the one who coasted on talent. That's the real story behind every Chick's Gifted. It's who's willing to grind when no one's watching, to outwork, outlast, and outgrow their old self. Every equalizer. It doesn't care where you came from, what your last name is, or whether you were the best growing up. It cares about how bad you wanted out. It's sports who were athletes who were never the top pick, never the favorite, never the most talked about. But they became legends because of one thing worked with it. Kobe Bryant used to practice hours before his teammates showed up, not because he wasn't talented, because he refused to rely on talent. Like, wasn't the most athletic, but I was the most obsessed. That obsession, that work ethic made him great. Now think about your own life. I'm now in the room. Maybe you weren't born with the best circumstances. Maybe you feel like you're always playing catch up. Good, because when you're not handed, having everything, and when you fight for it, you appreciate it, you earn your confidence. And no one can take that from you. Let's take a simple everyday example, leaning, like public speaking or coding or even cooking. Some people pick it up quickly. Others struggle, mess up, get frustrated. Maybe the difference success and stagnation. It's showing up on the days when you feel like you're getting nowhere. It's reading the book twice. It's making discerning again the burner's time. It's stumbling over your words but giving the speech anyway. Hard work means you don't stop because done. You see, talent is a spark, but hard work is the fire. Talent might get you noticed. Hard work gets you remembered. Here's son, you powerful. Hard work also creates talent. When you repeat something long enough, your brain rewires. May what used to be difficult become second to practice. There's this myth that people are just born great. They're not. You become great by doing boring, unglamorous things every early. You fail in private. You get up again. You build the kind of discipline that lasts later, not because you got lucky, but because you were relentless. Now let's talk about the people who rely only on talent. Maybe the ones who are used to being praised and to try that hard. What happens when life punches them in the face? What happens when talent alone isn't enough? They crumble because they never built grit. And talent, when toughness fades quickly. So if you're the underdog, if you've been counted out, overlooked, underestimated, good. You've got hunger. You've got heart. And that matters more than anything. You don't need to be the most talented. You need to be the one who refuses to showing up when the excitement wears off. The one who doesn't need applause to stay disciplined. That's who wins. Look around you. Most people aren't willing. They want quick results, easy paths, shortcuts. But when you commit to hard work, day in, day out, you become unstoppable because you're not running away out. You're building something deeper in resilience, character, and skill. So remember this, the grind will always outlast the gift. If you work like you're the least determined but the most determined, you will beat people who had more talent but less heart. Every time. Hard work isn't glamorous. It's not come with praise, but it's the only thing that guarantees progress. And if you make it your lifestyle, people who once seemed light years ahead of you, because at the end of the day, hard work beats talent when tailed does, and most of the time, talent gets lazy. Well, you'll keep grinding, and that's why you'll win. There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize that nobody is coming to rescue them. No mentor, no family member, no friend, no perfect opportunity is going to magically show up and carry them to their dream life. That's the moment where transformation begins, because once you truly understand the possible for your future, everything changes. This isn't a burden. It's a blessing. Because the moment you take ownership, you're no longer waiting for someone to fix your life. You're building it with your own hands. Let's take a real world example. Picture a plane in their job. They complain every day. The pay's not good. The boss is unfair. The hours are exhausting. They tell themselves they'll be happy fine or hard work when a better offer comes, when the company finally changes. But years go by and nothing happens. Why? Waiting because they're waiting for free the life they want. But then there's another person, same job, challenges, the difference. They realize, if I want something better, I have to new skills after work. They update their income. They up for better roles. They network, they read, they grow. And within a year, they've moved, and that push and that lights them up. Not because someone handed it to them, but because they took ownership of their future. That's what this key point is all about. You be your future to things you can't control. People, circumstances, luck. You're not a passenger in your own life. And if you don't grab the wheel, don't be surprised when you end up somewhere you never ever wanted to be. Think about this. If your life was a business, your health, your mindset, your relationships, your finances falls under your leadership. If something is broken, you fix it. Is broken, you improve it. If you don't know how to do it, you learn. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because the person who waits for others to take for their future stays stuck. For the person who takes charge, they evolve. They rise. Here's the thing. No one knows you're due. No one feels your ambition the way you do. No one hears the fire in your chest at 2 a.m. When you're staring at the ceiling wondering more, that's your dream. And it's your responsibility to chase it. We've all had setbacks. We've all been hurt. We've all had it. Here's the truth. Your past is not your platform. It's your story isn't an excuse. It's your power if you own it. We're supposed to have every problem in your life. It means you're willing to own the solution. Let's take another everyday example. Purse tape. They say, I don't have time. But they watch 3 hours of Netflix every night. They say eating healthy is too expensive, but they frick on fast food. They blame their schedule, their metabolism, their genetics. But deep down, it's not about the circumstances. It's that person says, you know what? I'm tired of feeling this way. I might not know everything. I'm going to start with what I can, what I gains, one step, one habit, one small win. That's how responsibility works. It's not about giant leaps. It's about staying stuck. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for motivation and start building discipline. You stop saying, I can, and start asking, can't. You stop blaming and start building. Because the future isn't something you design. And let's be clear, taking responsibility doesn't mean you'll never fail. You will, often. But when you fail, you won't point questions. You'll learn. You'll adapt. That's what separates people who live life by design from those who live by default. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't get there by chance. They got there by choice. Thousands of the top of each other. They chose to get up early. They chose to practice. They chose to study while others partied. They chose to take risks. They was jokered. And you have the same ability to choose. So the question is not, what's stopping you? The real question is, when are you going to stop giving Okoinme? Because the day you decide that you are the one who builds your future, not your parents, not your boss, not your partner, not yet your past, that's the day your life for the author. You are the builder, you are the architect. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can chase your dreams. No potential, that responsibility is yours. And that power is yours too. Let's talk about one of the biggest leash media pop culture and shallow self-help slogans. The idea that motivation is the key to success. That if you just watch the right video or feel the right emotion, you'll suddenly become a machine. Focused, unstoppable, productive, and perfect. Here's the truth that most people, once you're feeling and feelings fade, motivation is unreliable. It's inconsistent. It shows up when it wants to and disappears the moment things get uncontired. Success is based on waiting for that feeling. In return, you're already losing the battle. That's why discipline will always be more potent. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it, especially when you don't feel like growth happens. That's where success is built, not in the height, but in the habits. Let me give you a daily life example. Let in shape. They wake up on Monday morning full of motivation. They go for a run, eat clean, drink water, maybe feel amazing. Tuesday, same thing. There's running outside, they're sore, they're tired. The fridge has leftover pizza, the motivation gone. So they skip the workout, eat the junk, it'll start again next week. Now imagine some else with discipline. Monday run, Tuesday run, Wednesday rain. Doesn't matter, they show up. They lace horse treadmill or run in the rain. They don't wait to feel like it, they do it because they said they would. That's the difference. Discipline is, he said, many likes or views, but it's the one thing that separates the dreamers from the doors. Because discipline builds consist of greatness. Motivation is loud, but disloyal. Discipline is that 5 a.m. alarm you actually get up for. It's the boring when the couch is calling your name. It's the uncomfortable conversation you have instead of avoiding conflict. It's choosing the salad over the fries and selling the impulse buy, the reps over the excuses. And let's be real, there will be days when everything inside you ain't quite. days when you're exhausted, discouraged, or just don't care anymore. Those are the days that build your character. Not the easy days, not the hype-filly days, the boring ones, the painful. That's when discipline kicks in. You don't have to be the most talented, the smartest, or the fastest. But if you will outlast almost everyone, because most people live at the mercy of their mood. You've trained your mind to lead your mood's idea into another practical example, studying. Two students are preparing for the same exam. One waits until they feel ready for an hour here and there. When the mood hits, the other make a schedule. Stick to it. Study when they're tired. Study rather be anywhere else. Who's walking in that exam more prepared? Not the motivated one. The discipline, having a standard for yourself and living by it. No matter what the world throws at you, you might be thinking, how do I become disciplined? Set micro goals. Create a system. And most importantly, keep the promises you make to yourself. That's how discipline is built. Not by trying one at once, but by doing one thing consistently until it becomes part of your identity. Because that's what discipline really is saying. This is who I am now. I don't wait for the perfect mood. I create momentum. No longer about clutter. It's no longer lifestyle. You brush your teeth every day, right? Even when you don't feel like it. You don't wait for motivation to kick in you. That's a non-negotiable habit. Success works the same way. Show up for your goals like it's not optional. Here's a powerful truth. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. A to discipline, but discipline is the engine. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what takes you to the finish line. So stop waiting to feel ready. Start trainable. Be the person who does anyway, who shows up when others don't, who works when it's hard, who keeps going when it gets messy, because your breakthroughs happen. That's where the champions are made, not in the highlight reels, but in the invisible reps, maybe the uncelebrated grind. At the end of the difference between the life you want and the life you're living comes down to one thing: discipline over motivation. Choose discipline every time. And your eyes only dream about. We live in a world that's obsessed about what they're going to do, posting every move, every plan, every grind session, every win. Social media has turned life into more important to look successful than to be successful. But here's the truth most people miss. Real success doesn't need a spotlight and silence. You don't need to tell the world what you're building. You need to build it, because the more energy you spend, Brockus, you have to actually achieve them. Imagine a seed growing under the soil. It doesn't make a sound. It doesn't announce itself. There's no bounds, but underdeveloping strong roots that will one day support something unshakable. That's what working in silence looks like. To a real-life example. Two people decide to start a business. One goes online and announces it immediately. They share every plan, every logo draft, brainstorming session. They're looking for approval, for recognition, for external validation before the results even exist. The other one stays quiet. They put closed doors. They read, study, fail, learn. Months later, the second person launches their business, systems, product, and value. The first person still tweaking their Instagram bio. Success is quiet because it's not a producing. When you're obsessed with showing the world your work, you stop doing the deep work. And the deep work is what transforms good in photos. It's messy, it's boring. It's waking up early when nobody's watching. Maybe that was saying no to distractions when nobody, or if it's showing up again, and even when there's no audience. Think about someone training for a marathon. The real progress happens on those sore legs, when nobody's cheering them on. When there's no finish line in sight. That's where the inner strength is built. That's real transformation begins. The race itself, the part the world sees, is just the result of thousands of quiet, unseen decisions. That's how success sets the applause, the results. They're all just reflections of the silent work done when no one was watching. And here's what's even more powerful: confidence. When you don't need to tell people your plans, it means you believe in them. You're not looking for reassurance. You're the process. You're too busy becoming. There's a quote that says, "Hustle in silence and let you stack success." Sense more than a motivational line. It's a blueprint for winning. Because when people don't know what you're up to, maybe they can't doubt you, distract you, or distract or working to impress. You're working to elevate. It also protects your energy. Every time you share a goal too early, use shogment, criticism, or worse, empty praise that tricks your brain into thinking you've already accomplished something. That false sense of achievement can kill. Keep them sacred. Let your goals live inside you, and they're too powerful to be denied. Here's another daily example. Let's say you're working on your body, the gym, staying consistent. You don't post it. You don't talk about it. You just do the work. A few months go by and suddenly they've been working out. That's when the results start to speak. That's when your silence becomes underground truth, and you don't have to announce your grind. Your results will do that for you. Think about the greatest performers, the legends. They don't brag about what they're doing before it's done. They put their head down and deliver. Mitch would talk about being the best. He proved it. Warren Buffett doesn't tweet about every investment. He moves quietly, strategically, patiently, and it's about being secret, about a fear, about staying locked in, tunnel vision. Maybe block the noise so you can hear your own path, follow you, move in your own rhythm. When you stop needing people to clap for your hustle, that's when you truly become dangerous, because no longer tied to anyone else's opinion. You become self-fueled, self-directed, unshakable. Let them sleep on you. Let them underestimate you. Let them, that's fine. You're not lost. You're just working. Quietly, steadily, unapologetically. And when it's time, maybe the foundation is solid, the world will buy on the dark. So stop chasing attention. Chase alignment. Chase mastery. Chase truth. And above all, work in silence. Because success is quiet, and when we'll say a word, everyone will feel it. In a world that glorifies self-lies, put others first, there's a truth that too many people ignore until it's too late. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're drained, broken, lost, emotionally, how can you give your best to anyone else? You can't. You think you're helping everyone, but what you're really doing is running, you're calling it kindness. This point isn't about being selfish. It's about being self-aware. It's about understanding that in order to support them fully and lead them powerfully, you have to take care of yourself first. Let's look at the most relatable example. They're trying to do it all. Working full-time, managing the house, cooking meals, attending school events, checking homework, trying to be up and up with bills, and maybe squeezing in 5 minutes of alone time. If they're lucky, slowly the stress builds. They start snapping over little things. Their patience wears thin. They stop sleeping well. Their mood shifts and they wonder what's wrong. Maybe that was your old story. What's wrong is simple. They forgot that without rest, reflection, and personal growth, they can't sustain the weight of everything they're trying to hold. They forgot that if their cup runs dry, if they love their family, they simply won't have the capacity to give anymore. Now imagine that same person takes maybe they go for a walk, journal, read, meditate, or just sit in silence. That time isn't wasted. It's fuel. It replenishes the spirit, and suddenly they're present, more grounded. They're not reacting. They're responding. They're not surviving. They're leading. This applies to everyone, not just parents, job, your relationships, your goals. If you keep giving and giving without checking on your own needs, your own peace, your own healing, eventually some probably be you. Let's be honest, most people neglect themselves and then wear it like a badge of honor. I haven't had a day off in months. I never say no. That's not noble. That's self-destruction disguised as dedication. Maybe that was your Ori. You don't get stronger by ignoring me and by honoring them. Focusing on yourself first doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you care enough to show up energized. When energized, focused, and healed, you make better decisions. You lead better. You love better. Take another example. A business. Eat meals, ignore their health, and never spend time with loved ones. Why? Because they're building the dream. But if their health collapses, if they burn out, what happens to the dream then? There is no business without the builder. The body you neglect today will be the tomorrow. The mind you don't protect now will become the storm that swallows your vision later. Focusing on yourself means setting boundaries. With art to say no. Without guilt, it means not explaining yourself to people who don't respect your time or energy. It means putting your growth, your hop of your priority list. It might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being the fixer, the strong one. But if everyone else while silently drowning, real strength is knowing when to rest. Real strength is knowing when to say, may need a minute. I need help. I need to breathe the truth. You teach people how to treat you by how to treat yourself. Maybe you're constantly putting needs, the world, that your needs don't matter, that your time is don't valuable, that your well-being can wait. But it can't. You were not put on this earth sacrificed to be liked, accepted, or applauded. You're here to shine, and you can't shine if you're running on empty. Make time for the gym. Make time to read. Have time to rest. Not someday, but today. Because when you pour into yourself, you overflow. And everyone wrong. You don't build a powerful life by running from yourself. You build it returning to yourself. By getting quiet enough to hear you connected to your purpose. By refusing to shrink to please others. By showing up as your full, bold, rested, alive self. Alive self, not just for the world, but next time you feel guilty for taking care of yourself. Remember this, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't serve from a dry well. You can't if you're constantly giving yourself the leftovers. Focus on yourself, heal yourself, elevate yourself, and watch how everything and everyone around you rises too. Maybe there's a painful truth you eventually, anyone achieving meaningful in this lifey, most people won't clap for you. They won't cheer you on. They won't show up for your dreams. It's because your dream was given to you, not to them. And if you wait around for validation, for approval, for someone to say, hey, go ahead, I believe a valuable currency, you having time. You have to learn to move without applause. You have to build your vision and motivate, and learn to clap for yourself when no one else is around. Because support is beautiful, but it's not guaranteed. And the people who wait for you, they quit halfway through because no one was watching. Let's be real, maybe you felt it already. You start something new, a business, a creative project, a new mindset. At first you're fired up. You expect your friends and family to be just as excited. But instead, you get silence. Were you sure that's the right path? That sounds risky. What if it doesn't work? And suddenly, you're second-guessing yourself. But because you expected the world to get it, there's thinking they won't. And they don't have to. Think of every person who's ever made some entrepreneur, athlete, or innovator. Do you think they had a crowd behind them in the beginning? Most of them were ignored, laughed up. Some were ridiculed by the same people who now post quotes with their faces on them. Maybe you don't need to be under stories or be praised to be powerful. You just need to believe enough to begin. Take a simple daily example, like starting to wake up at 5 a.m. to work because you want more. Maybe you want to read, work out, study, build something, but no one sees that grind. No one says, hey, I admire your discipline. You wake dark in silence. Your phone doesn't buzz with encouragement. Your coffee doesn't come with applause. It's just you and your dream. And that's exactly should be, because in those quiet moments you learn who you really are. You learn to move from purpose, not praise. You learn to show up because it matters to them. Success requires you to be self-fueled. You have to generate your own energy. You have to clap for yourself. You have to look in the mirror and say, if no one sees it, even if no one understands it, even if it takes years before it pays off going to the gym alone for months, no one sees the soreness, the sweat, the skip parties, the disciplined meals. But one day, someone says, you've changed. You look those lonely reps. But the win doesn't come because of the recognition. It comes after the silence. The silence is the test. And most people feel validation so badly, they sabotage their progress just to get noticed. They quit when no one claps. They slow down when no one comments. What's moving, they expect nothing from anyone and everything from themselves. Let me say that again. Expect nothing from anyone and every to stop waiting for people to believe in you. You have to stop needing everyone to understand your journey. You have to stop explaining yourself to pouring. The right people will support you, eventually. But don't build for them. Build for you. Build because you have to. Because something that you were meant for more. Sometimes the silence is the signal. The universe wants to see if you're serious. If you'll keep going without And when you do, that's when momentum starts. That's when the compound effect kicks in. That's when you shift from trying to prove something. Imagine if you started that business idea and no one supported you. Would you still show up every day? Would you still give your best? Would you slow days the doubt? Because that's the real question. Can you move when no one's watching? Because one day they'll watch. One day they'll care. Not day, because you're arrogant. Because you've already the person you were chasing. So maybe that was story. If you're starting something right now, if you feel alone, good. That means you're in the right place. That means you're growing. That means you're not doing it for show. Don't stop. Don't stall. Don't wait for applause. Because you are not here to be liked. You're here. Builders don't beg for claps. They create the reason people clap in the first place. Keep going. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly. And let your silence become your success story.